August 13, 1994. The sun beats down on Valencia, Venezuela's third largest city. It's a Saturday morning, and the streets are relatively quiet. But inside one of the most secure buildings in the country, something is about to unfold that will become legend. A crime so audacious, so perfectly executed, that 20 years later, people still talk about it in hushed tones. This is the story of the Valencia bank robbery, what many consider the greatest heist in Venezuelan history. A crime that involved months of planning, an underground tunnel, and a getaway so clean that most of the perpetrators were never caught. Today, we're going underground, literally, to explore how a group of criminals pulled off what seemed impossible. To understand this heist, you need to understand what they were targeting, the main vault of Banco República in Valencia. This wasn't just any bank, it was a fortress. Multiple security systems, armed guards, reinforced walls, and cameras everywhere. But here's what the security planners didn't count on: someone willing to spend 3 months digging. The crew behind this operation weren't amateurs. They were professionals who understood that the best way into an impenetrable building isn't through the front door, it's from below. They rented a small house about 300 feet away from the bank. To neighbors, they seemed like ordinary people. Maybe a small business, some workers doing renovations, nothing suspicious, nothing that would make you look twice. But beneath that house, something extraordinary was happening. Every night, while the city slept, they dug. Shovel by shovel, bucket by bucket, they carved a tunnel through the earth, heading straight toward the bank's vault. This wasn't some crude hole in the ground. This was engineering. The tunnel stretched over 300 feet, roughly the length of a football field. They had to reinforce it with wooden supports to prevent collapse. They needed ventilation to breathe underground. They had to remove tons of dirt without anyone noticing. Think about the logistics. Where do you put all that earth? How do you keep the noise down? How do you know you're digging in the right direction? They solved it all. The dirt was quietly removed in bags and disposed of at various locations across the city. They worked only during hours when ambient city noise would mask the sound of digging. And somehow, whether through stolen blueprints or inside information, they knew exactly where to dig. 3 months, 90 days of back-breaking labor, all leading to one specific point, directly beneath the bank's vault floor. But here's where it gets even more interesting. They didn't just dig to the vault and break in immediately. No, they waited. They observed. They timed the guard rotations, monitored the bank's schedule, and chose their moment carefully. A long holiday weekend, maximum cash on hand, minimal security presence. August 13th, 1994. The bank closes for the weekend. The vault is locked, security armed. Everything appears normal. But beneath the floor, the crew make their final calculations. They've reached the exact spot. Now comes the most dangerous part: breaking through the reinforced concrete floor of the vault itself. They use jackhammers and industrial tools, working through the night. The vault is designed to withstand attacks from the outside, from the doors and walls. Nobody anticipated someone coming from below. Finally, the concrete gives way. They're in. Imagine that moment. After 3 months of claustrophobic work in a narrow tunnel, you surface inside the vault of one of Venezuela's major banks. Stacks of currency, safety deposit boxes, securities, millions of bolivares waiting. And you have approximately 48 hours before anyone discovers what has happened. They worked with military precision. Cash went into bags, prioritizing high-denomination bills, foreign currency, anything portable and valuable. They cracked open safety deposit boxes, taking jewelry, gold, and documents that might be worth something on the black market. The amount they stole? Estimates vary wildly because the bank initially tried to downplay the loss. Official figures suggested around 300 million bolivares, roughly $4 million at the time. But many believe the real figure was much higher, possibly 2 or 3 times that amount. But here's what makes this truly remarkable. They didn't just grab and run. They were methodical. They knew exactly what to take and what to leave. They understood they had limited time and limited carrying capacity through that tunnel. Monday morning, August 15th, the bank reopens. Employees arrive, security disarms the system, everything seems fine. Until someone enters the vault. The scene must have been surreal. A gaping hole in the floor, debris everywhere, empty shelves where stacks of currency had been, pried open safety deposit boxes scattered about. Chaos erupted. Police were called. The media descended. And when investigators traced the hole back through the tunnel to the rented house, they found it abandoned. Furniture left behind, tools scattered, but the crew? Gone, without a trace. The investigation that followed was massive. Venezuela's top detectives worked the case. They interviewed hundreds of people. They followed every lead, and they found almost nothing. A few suspects were eventually identified and arrested, but the vast majority of the crew disappeared. The money was never recovered. The ringleaders were never definitively caught. To this day, it remains one of the most successful unsolved heists in Latin American history. So what makes this the greatest crime in Venezuela's history? It's not just the amount stolen, though that was substantial. It's the audacity, the planning, the execution, and the fact that they got away with it. This heist became legend because it exposed vulnerabilities that supposedly didn't exist. It showed that with enough patience, planning, and nerve, even the most secure institutions could be breached. In the years since, the story has taken on mythical proportions. Some say the crew had inside help, corrupt bank employees, or even police officers. Others claim it was the work of international criminals with experience in similar heists in Europe or South America. There are theories that the money financed other criminal enterprises, that it was laundered through legitimate businesses, that some of the crew fled to Colombia or Brazil with new identities. The truth? We may never know. But the Valencia bank robbery changed how financial institutions in Venezuela approached security. Underground sensors became standard, surveillance expanded, background checks intensified. Yet part of what makes this story endure is the question it leaves us with. In a country that would later face economic collapse, political turmoil, and widespread crime, was this elaborate, patient, professional heist actually the work of criminal masterminds, or just desperate people pushed to extraordinary measures? The Valencia bank robbery stands as a testament to what human ingenuity can accomplish, even when directed toward illegal ends. 3 months of digging, one perfect weekend, and a legacy that has lasted decades. Somewhere out there, the people who pulled this off might be living quiet lives, their secret buried as deep as the tunnel they once dug. Or perhaps they've told their story to close friends over drinks, always careful never to confirm the details. The vault was eventually repaired. The bank continued operations. Life moved on. But beneath the surface of Valencia, in the collective memory of Venezuela, that tunnel still exists, a reminder that the greatest crimes aren't always the most violent. Sometimes they're the most patient. If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of South America's most fascinating heists, hit that subscribe button. We explore the world's most incredible true crime stories, told with the depth and respect they deserve. Until next time, stay curious.